Good day, Tamers, back with another EX7 deck profile video. Coming at you with the fourth best deck probably in this, in my opinion. That's not really true for opinion, it's just the fourth deck I want to cover in this set currently. As the one I really want to cover doesn't really work until we get to BT18, or 2.0 for us over here in the English side of the game. Without further ado, we are playing Link Dragons. But we're going to jump straight into this because I know you guys don't like these 1.5 minute intros. Koromon is going to be our egg for this from BT14, just because all of the level 3s can digivolve over red and black Digimon egg. Koromon is probably the best red Digimon egg that we have currently, depending on the situation. These don't have animals in their traits or sovereigns. They are dragons. So when we get a dragon egg, that's going to be really cool. But until then, when a card is removed from your opponent's security deck, draw a card. I don't see any problem with that. Going now into the Jazzamon from EX3. Your turn, once per turn, when you play a Hina, gain 1 memory. Super simple. It will happen. This deck does play Hinas fairly often. You aren't really losing out on this effect, and it's only at 2 of, just to make the game a little more interesting. All turns while this Digimon has an on-play effect, you will gain 1,000 DP, and having extra DP is just good either way. Playing 4 of the Jazzamon from EX7. Start off your main phase by trashing 1 card with a Rock Dragon or Earth Dragon traits in your hand. Draw 1 and gain 1 memory. Just as a reminder, those are the red Digimon for this Link Dragons deck, as opposed to the black Digimon in this Link Dragons deck. Then the post turn, this Digimon gains 2,000 DP. Look, what I say, we waited like 2 years and we got better. Moving over to Volvemon from EX3 now. Your turn, once per turn, when you play a Hina, delete 1 of your opponent's Digimon with 3,000 DP less. Fairly good, and since the fact that you generally do want to get rid of those pesky floodgates as much as you can, this will help get rid of those level 3 Digimon cards and some of the weaker level 4s earlier on as possible. So when taking, if this has an on-play effect, you may delete 1 of your opponent's at 3,000 DP or less Digimon. Again, doing the same thing, but with an inherited effect. Wolvermon from EX7 now, with the on-play, reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with the Rock Dragon, the Earth Dragon, the Machine Dragon, or the Sky Dragon trait, and 1 Hina, amongst them to the hand, return the rest of the bottom of the deck. Your turn, this Digimon gets 2,000 DP. In my opinion, I love to see rookies that have searchability on them. This is essentially the first searcher rookie that we have. It used to be on the EX3 champions. We're going to go into some of those in a minute, but now we have access to quite a few searchers. Go straight into the next one with Jazzamon from EX3. On play over the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card with the Rock Dragon, the Earth Dragon, the Bird Dragon, the Machine Dragon, or the Sky Dragon in its traits, and 1 Hina amongst them to the hand. Put the rest of the bottom of the deck in any order. All turns while this Digimon has an on-play effect, it gains 1,000 DP, which, yeah, is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Having a 4-cost level 4 searcher is not terrible. You are doing 4 searches though, which means that at the worst you're going to be putting 3 cards to the bottom. At best you'd be putting only 2 cards to the bottom, but you are still putting cards that you may kind of need, but don't necessarily want the most. But we'll see what goes on from there. Just play that as a one-off. Jezzard from EX3, on the other hand, though, we are playing this as a free of, and that is on play by trashing 1 card with a Rock Dragon or Earth Dragon trait in the hand, draw 2, which, you know how I feel about these archetypal searches, pretty good. Then when digivolving, if you have 1 or less Tamers, you may play 1 Hina from your hand without paying the cost. We'll go over the Tamers later on, but Hina is pretty much the bread and butter for these guys. She is the bomb of the dragons. Lavolvemon from EX3 here. On play, reveal top 4 cards, add 1 Dragon card with a Rock, Earth, Bird, Machine, or Sky in its traits, and then 1 Hina from the hand, to the hand as well. Place the rest of them on the deck. Same as the Jazzard from EX3. Nice to have an extra searchability in the deck. When attacking, if this Digimon has an on-play effect, you may delete 1 of your opponent's 3,000 or less DPs. Digimon, having this also with the Volvemon from earlier on means that you can delete 2 rookies, which, you know, does come up occasionally, depending on what you hit in security. Again, fairly good. We only play one of, but again, having 6 searches in the deck, especially since it only costs you an extra 1 to search with a level 4, is pretty good. The Volvemon from EX7, on play, return 1 of the cards with the Machine Dragon or the Sky Dragon traits, or 1 Hina from the trash to your hand. This will come up more often because of how the deck wants to revolve with the cards in hand, and the floating that this deck does at the top end. Then when digivolving, if you have 1 less Tamers, you may play 1 Hina from the hand without paying the cost. Again, very good to have this access here because, well, we do see some fun things coming out with the older EX cards. Going into Jezzarichmon now from EX3. On play, digivolve 1 of your opponent's Digimon until you get hit at level 3. and then you may play your one Hina from the hand without paying its memory cost. It isn't on play effect, but hear me out. You get to play Hina for free, and it doesn't have a restriction on it. So when you've got 2 Hinas that ready, looking at getting some of these on the fields if you can be quite fun. Jezzarich though from EX7 on the other hand, on play digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and then when digivolving, if your opponent has no level 5 or higher Digimon, gain a memory, which is pretty good if you're going first. And then the opponent's turn, when any of your opponent's Digimon attack, you may change the target to this. You do go them into the body if it is in your if you're a level 6 or whatever it might be. I think goading is pretty good, but there are some decks that will take advantage of them changing their swing pattern. So do be aware of certain decks out there like Doraemon BT16 deck that takes advantage of that, I believe. On play, when digivolving, good old Lava Greetamon over here from EX3, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 DP or less, and then you may play a one Hina from the hand without paying the cost. Again, same as the lovely Jezzarich from EX3. Playing all these level 5s as a 2-of, see if it happens anything currently. Then all turns will turn when an opponent's Digimon is deleted if this Digimon has an on-play effect to gain a memory, which can happen quite fairly in this deck. Playing 2 of the Lava Greeters from EX7 as well. On play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less, which is a little bit better. And then when digivolving, if your opponent doesn't have a Digimon with 6,000 DP or less, gain a memory. So, the newer level 5s having the chance to be in a 2 cost when digivolving is pretty good, making it easy to go up to. It's also a nod to the Lava Greetamon from Days of Old, which I believe the first one we had was a 2 cost cheap digivolution to go up into to make the game faster for red Digimon cards. We are running 3 of the Metallic Dramons here from EX7. On play and when attacking, digivolve 4 of your opponent's Digimon. And then when digivolving, none of your opponent's Digimon that are level 4 or lower can digivolve until the end of their turn. Level 6 floodgates are fair, right? All turns return when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your own effects. You may play a 1 Digimon card with the Rock Dragon or Earth Dragon traits from the trash without paying the cost. Now, this does include obviously any of the level 4s, 5s, and 3s, so you don't have to play just the Volcanic Dramon, but Volcanic Dramon's pretty good. Playing 4 of the Volcanic Dramons here, on play, when digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP, and then when digivolving, your opponent can't play or move Digimon with 6,000 DP or less until the end of the turn. I believe this means it can't move out the breeding area. All turns return when this Digimon would leave the battle area other than by your effects. You may play 1 Digimon card with Machine or Sky Dragon traits from the hand without paying the cost. This is where we start floating in and out of things effectively. Generally speaking, I'd probably want to have Volcano as the 4 and the Metallic as the 3 because you want to do Volcanic first, float into the Metallic. You've already got a Volcano in the trash at this point, and then you can just spin it around like that. As a random tech choice, I'm sure people saw this coming if you've played the EX3 formats, is Dobrekmon. He's here, he's angry, he has Rush, he has an on-play effect, which means all the Digimon that say on play have all their inheritance now triggering away. On play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3,000 DP or less for each card with a Dragon, Saurus, or Ceratoshin in one of its traits in this Digimon's distribution cards. Gain 2,000 to the maximum DP you can now explode with this effect. You're generally going to be sticking up 5 dragons underneath this here, as all these cards are dragons, which means you'll be deleting something that's 13k or less. You also generally, if you're going to be doing this, it's going to be like an end game kind of statement here. You do have Rush, which means you play it for 1 cost, and then you'll just swing like the lunatic that Dobrik is. And having access to multiple cards here that does have Secret Attack +1, it means that you are generally making your opponent's life misery if they ever get a chance to do anything with that. We're then playing 2 of the Ragnar Lord bonds here. There is no inherited effect here to have Digivolve at the end of turn, but if we ever do get access to a 2 level 6s on the field, that's 1 black, 1 red, we can probably just destroy opponents there from like free security or less, depending on what it goes into. So you will, when Digivolving Blitz, so you get to swing out with this. But when DNA Digivolving, for every 4 cards in this Digimon's distribution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 20 or less, and then trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So generally, if you're going to do this correctly, he says, you'll have probably 10 Digivolution cards, because you'll include the level 6s too. And then you will just go, hey, look, I can do 2 pops, I can pop 2 security, I can pop 2 of your Digimon, and then I can swing for game. All turns return when this card is removed. When a card is removed from your player's security stack, unsuspend this Digimon, which means that if it's still your turn when you Digivolve, because obviously you won't be doing any end of Digivolving here, you get to swing again. So if you get to swing with the Blitz, and then remove 2 security with the effect, or 1 security with the effect, and you hit security, you've already unsuspended at this point, so you can swing again. So it means you are swinging for 3. If you do have 8 or more, you can swing for 4 technically. If you've got 12 or more, you can swing for 5 technically, I think it is. So there is ways that this Digimon does just show up and make your opponent's life just an absolute misery. If you really want to, you can always run this with 1 or 2 of the Flame Digimons from EX3 as well. If you really want to have the inherited here to sort of make this your game plan, you can. Although I wouldn't recommend it because you are kind of playing the game of spinning the Dramon. We do have some option cards in this deck now. We do run Breath of the Gods at 2 of here. This is just because you do have a lot of black cards in the deck. Meaning this card should be at least active half the time. Main, one of your Digimon gains reboot until the end of your opponent's turn. And this Digimon can have its DP reduced or returned to the hand or deck. Really good card. It's coming up a lot more in sort of this meta now where blue is pushing things around. Where Paladin mode, Ace will try and put you to the bottom of the deck. It's just really hard for your opponent to really mess around with you as much as they want to. This deck doesn't necessarily mind being removed from the field so much because obviously it floats in and out of things, but at the same time it is quite important that you don't just let your opponent get free advantages when they want to. Kongu as well. Main, until the end of your opponent's turn, your opponent's Digimon with 7 cost or less cards attack players, and cards can't be added to security stacks by your opponent's effects. Again, this is just here to sort of stop your opponents from having shenanigans, and especially if you're going against yellow, it does annoy them the fact that they can't recover security, so they do kind of whiff themselves around a little bit. Since yellow vaccine has basically become less popular than it was before, now it's more security control again, you don't really have to worry about them just flicking around all their security, which is there as a countermeasure if they want to. Then we're going to run 2 of the Crimson Blazers here because we are running multiple red cards and we do have our red baby, just in case. Use the memory cost of this in your hand by 1 for each Digimon your opponent has in play. So this can be anything from a 6 cost to a 0 cost card. It has come up before when you play these for like 1 and your opponent gets very, very sad. So if your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less, your opponent can't play Digimon by effects until the end of their next turn. Which again, depending on what game it is, it could be very annoying. The mirror match for this is also just very annoying because even if you just throw it down to make it so they can't rotate out of their cards, your opponent will be very, very sad. And then last but not least, the 2 Tamers we're going to run in this is Hero from BT8. The only reason this is here is because it's a memory setter, and he just gives you the effect of giving plus 2000 DP to any level 5 or higher Digimon for the turn when you attack. The reason why this is here though is because it doesn't need to be a red Digimon, and the fact that you obviously floating it out means that if you've only got like the level 6s on the field for the following turn you can swing, at least that way you can be a little bit bigger. You don't have to be concerned about crashing the swing, maybe a bit scary. That being said though, we're also running 4 of the Hinas because Hina's the best, and then start of your turn, if your opponent has a Digimon in play, you gain a memory. She's one of the first ones to do this, I believe, and now a lot of the Tamers do this as default. And then your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with the Rock Dragon, Earth Dragon, Machine Dragon, or Sky Dragon in its traits, you may suspend this Tamer to activate one of its umpire effects. If you have 4 of these in play, you can activate all 4 of the effects 4 times, and it's quite funny. So, if for instance you go into a Volcanic Dramana and it's the umpire effect is delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP, you can activate this 4 times on that digivolution. So it now does it 5 times. So if your opponent has 5 things on the field, they all just go boom, and it's instanted as well. So it's like pop 1, do they have an deletion effect? On the deletion effect, brings it back, pop it again, and just go round and round in circles. That being said though, they also have access here with the Metallic Dramon where it will just digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. That will do it over how many choices you want to. So if your opponent's just got a massive Digimon, you can just keep digivolving. If it's got multiple Digimon that's quite big, you can just digivolve multiple Digimon and go from there. Same with like Lava Greeter over here with from EX3 where it's the on deletion, your opponent has 5000 DP or less, and then you may play a Hina. If you've only got like 2 Hinas in play, this can then, when digivolve up to, can essentially just do the pop and then play 2 more Hinas. But that's about it for this deck. It's a fairly simple deck. It does what it wants to do. It wants to control the board. It wants to stop things from fighting back, and if it gets slapped around a bit, it'll bring back its brother to throw another punch. But that is it for now. I do wish there was a better level 7. I did want to use the other Ragnamon because the other Ragnamon seems really cool because it has hand counter, but it only has hand counter for its own deck, which makes it a little less easier than some of the other cards. But for now, this is what we'll have to do. Until next time, when hopefully we have the level 5 aces maybe, sorry, level 7 aces for Agubons maybe, which could be the deck choice here. We are kind of stuck with what we have. So, catch you guys later. Peace out and goodbye. Mwah. Love you all. And don't forget, remember your defeats. Peace out and goodbye.